Hello everybody. Thank you for joining me again. I have returned, not as quickly as I had hoped, but here I am again. Thank you for all my subscribers and those that have watched my channel and commented. I really appreciate your comments and the love that you share around. I do try and reply, or at least acknowledge that the comments are there. And we're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers. So when that happens, it will be time for a giveaway for sure. So what have I been up to? Quite a lot. Quite a lot I can't actually show in this particular floss tube, but the next one, or maybe I will get, if I get one in before the retreat. So for those that don't know, I have a store, The Stitches Merchant, and I'm hosting my first retreat in May with the guest designers being Karen and Brendan from Fox and Rabbit Designs. Super excited about it. There's been a lot of work happening behind the scenes, and my nails are quite black at the moment from paint, but yeah, it's 4 or 5 weeks away. So looking forward to that, and still lots to do, but it's going to be a blast of a weekend. We'll have lots of fun. What I have been doing is obviously having an online store versus having a bricks and mortar store. I have most of the store is actually in a spare bedroom in crates most of the time, so this will be the first time that I see it all come together as a trunk show, which is really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's my jam. I'm really into old vintage upcycling, and I think a lot of us are fairly similar, so I'm really had a lot of fun putting some stuff together that will be part of the trunk show. So with that looming, I have been doing some framing. So I typically frame my own work. Sometimes I'll send something that is bigger or really special to me to a framer in Armidale, but and that's another thing. I don't go to Armidale that frequently. It's an hour's drive down the road, so often I will, or I've had to learn to do my own. Anyway, so I order, sorry about my hair today. It's wet and dreary here. We're heading into, it's autumn, and it's been a bit of a miserable day actually, so not much point putting effort into the hair. So the framing, I order frames from theframeshop.com.au, and I pin and lace my own work. And yeah, I've got some of that here to show you today. So firstly, well, this actually isn't a frame shop frame. This is an upcycled frame that was from just a local op shop that was blue. And my first effort really at cutting frames down and just painting it with some chalk paint, I believe this one is. Anyway, this is Stacey Nash's Old White Farmhouse, which I have shown before. So the frame's just been a repainted upcycling venture. And I'm quite pleased with how that's turned out. I still have to put a hanger on the back of it. If you want to see the back, this one is actually finished. I was recently watching Fox and Rabbit's last floss tube, and Karen was very cranky with Brendan for showing the back of her work. It's okay, Karen, I'm going to show you the back of some of mine that aren't finished yet either, or will probably stay like that. Yeah, so that's the Old White Farmhouse by Stacey Nash. The next one, sorry, I've got piles here around me. This is a frame shop frame, and I'm super happy with this. This is a Brenda Gervais Token of Love, which originally in her design was put on a box. So I believe a box that you could get at Joann's or Michael's in the States. We don't have them here, and I did look at perhaps buying one, which was going to be quite a lot of money for a box. So I decided to invest that money into a really lovely frame, and you can see how lovely and chunky it is. Absolutely gorgeous. I did use a just a little bit of cotton wadding behind this one, so I like that effect that it gives on the front. But this frame from the frame shop, you can actually get them with a hanger or a stand, so there's a metal piece that slips in there and it will actually stand. So really happy with that. Hopefully you can see that. That is 1/1 on 20, I think 28 count Lugana. So I finally got that one in a frame. That was finished some time ago. Then we have, okay, here's a back that's not finished. I do have to lace. This one's pinned but not not completely finished yet. So this is a Brenda Gervais with By Needle and Thread, Our Hearts, and I adapted that to just as a memory and celebration of friendship and a retreat that I went to last year with some friends at Pecolbin. Quick flash, here's the back, not finished. You can see the pins, so it's actually stainless steel pins. Sometimes I will lace that and take those out. Okay, next, here we go, here's an example of lacing. So that one's laced and I just have to finish that off and put the back on that frame. This is the Blackbird Designs from the Sewing Club book, and I think it's called Tiny Tree Tops, Rosemary and Thyme, perhaps. If I'm wrong, I will put that in the comments, but it's the last, yeah, it's the last project in the Sewing Club book by Blackbird Designs. Thought that frame really suited. It's got a little bit more of a whimsical feel about it, and I hand dyed that linen myself, so that's why there was a little bit of a dyeing disaster happened with that one, but overall I'm pleased with how it turned out. It's for my pleasure. So that's 4 there. And lastly, this is also a Frame Shop frame and a recent finish that I haven't shown before. So this is from Blackbird Designs as well. Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? I stitched this on 36 count light khaki by Zweigart, and I did paintbrush walnut crystal that linen to give it a little bit more of an aged effect. It just felt a little flat, even though it's the called for threads on that. I love that pomegranate red, which is a Gentle Arts thread. This frame I did paint. It was a Frame Shop frame that was in their sales, so just a way to save some money. So it was on their sales page, and it was a silvery gold colour, which isn't, I tend to do black or dark frames. So I just spray painted it, and it came up quite well. Finished on the back. Do find when you're framing your own work, those that are how they go at it, it's harder when you have a border on a sampler or a piece of work. It's easier when the borders aren't so straight, or there aren't any borders like the Brenda Gervais. Much easier to get those looking straight. So these take a little bit more effort and lots of unpinning and repinning for me anyway, and asking my partner, is it straight enough? And he's usually over it by about the 5th time and says it'll do. So while we're on that book, which I really love that book actually, there's some, I did have it here. Yeah. So that's the Blackbird Designs, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? I think that was released in perhaps 2018. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects in there. That's the original sampler that inspired Barb and Alma's adaptions. So of course, I've also done, if you follow me on Instagram, I also have finished, I do have a whiteboard, and do I bring it with me? No, I do not. So this is the Darling Buds of May, which is also out of the same book. Again on the light khaki linen by Zweigart. And if I hold this up, you might be able to see the difference in just aging that with the walnut crystals. I think it gives it a bit more of an old world vintagey vibe, which is my vibe. So that's the framing fiesta at the moment. I do have more to do, and more to order as well. When I order, I will say, I am a little tight on borders sometimes. So when you order, I could probably take this one out. You need to remember, they do say on the frames generally, I can't remember what this is called, but there's a rebate in a frame that often I've done it a couple of times and shortchanged myself, so I end up with them quite tight, which I like them quite tight to the edge. But it's, yeah, just remember that you'll have those usually about 0.5 of a centimetre that you'll need around the edge that comes in there. So next time I order, making myself a note to allow a little bit extra. What else have I finished? So a couple of smalls. So I've shown Plum Street samplers. These are the animal stacks that Paulette designs. They're so cute. This is Snort Stack with the little piggies, finished with the Lady Dot Creates vintage chenille on this one. And I thought this fabric was perfect. It's a Laurie Holt fabric called Farm Girl Vintage. I think this was actually a backing fabric from a quilt that I've done. So of course I had to fussy cut that pig to make him the backing of this one. And I've done a couple of these now and doing some others that I'll show you that I'm currently working on. Another finish that went across the machine finally was, this is Hello by Liz Matthews. This is a freebie on her website called, it's not always, it's Arrow Celebration. So just finished that one with a little bit of pink ticking and some vintage pearl buttons on the back. I kind of wanted just a little pillow. This one is just with polyfill. Can't remember the brand in Australia, but it's a nice one that you can pull apart and it gives a nice feel. This has a little polyfill just up into the corners to make sure it's got a little bit of structure, and then that walnut crystals, I think I've mentioned it before. There's a cat litter available in Australia at Woolworths that is actually purely walnut shells. So if I have been asked before what that is, and I'm happy to let you know if you want to message me on that, because it's a really cheap way to buy it and it works perfectly well. So there's a little strawberry on charm on that. I just got some of those in store as well, so you can purchase some of those charms. I thought that was really cute with the silk ribbon. Happy with that one. So that's two small finishes. Okay, what else have I finished? Oh, I have finally, well, I just always wanted to stitch this. A friend had this at the last retreat I went to, finished in a frame, and it was lovely. So this is the Rose and the Giant Pear by Hands Across the Sea samplers, and I've stitched this on a 40 count. This is Duxbury linen from Fox and Rabbit Designs. So it's actually, if I open it up, perhaps, again, not thinking to bring my whiteboard with me. It does have a fair amount of staining and mottling across it, which I think the sampler model was done on Tabby Cat's Creme Brulee, which I do have in store as well, but I really liked the colours on the Duxbury for this, and I was using Creme Brulee on another project, so I like to mix it up and be using a different linen when I'm moving between things. So that's the Rose and the Giant Pear, and that's in the called for DMCs. So I do have to send away for another frame for that one. I'd like to get that framed up, particularly before the retreat as well, and probably in a nice chunky frame. As you've noticed, I like to do really heavy looking frames. Howard often says, I think it's too heavy, but I actually really like it. I like that look. Okay, that's those finishes. So here's a finish and a currently what is in my Q-Snap. So this is Plum Street again, one of the stacks. So I finished Foxview the other day. That was in the called for threads, and on the called for linen, this is a piece of R&R Reproductions Winter Brew. So while I had this in the Q-Snap, I thought I should find, I knew that she'd done a couple others on that same linen. So I've moved on to Llama Lump, which I have stitched before. I have actually stitched this back in 2021 for an exchange piece on the Homespun Needleworkers page that Julie runs. So I participated in one of those, and this was sent to a girl in the States. but now I'll have one for myself as well. And of course, if you aren't already aware, I did think about changing them to alpacas because I actually have alpacas. I'm, I guess, an alpaca farmer, but they're llamas. There is a difference, people. I could go off on a whole tangent. There is a difference, but I've left them as llamas. Maybe I'll redo a version number 3 with alpacas. So that would mean changing those ear shapes and probably shortening up the neck and the body a little bit to make them look more like an alpaca. Okay, what else have I worked on? So my book of days, there's some blanks in here. So I don't think I've seen you since February. So March was fairly busy. I think about half of March was the Rose and the Giant Pear, was about 10 days of March. Then I moved on to some fresh starts, which I'll show, and worked a little bit on the Pink Sparrow with our Needle and Thread, the Pink Sparrow sampler as well. But I'll show some of those starts. And April's got some blanks in it because Easter happened. I had family down. It's my my niece's birthday for the first time. She turned 4, and it fell on Easter for the first time for her. So we had a bunny cake, of course, that we had to make. So of course there was some stitching happened, but not a lot. And where I left blanks there, I know I was stitching on the same piece. But yeah, I love those stickers. Aren't they cute? Boy on a bicycle with egg wheels, amazing. The tortoise or the turtle we were driving into town. I live a little bit out of town, and we were going into the park to take the girls in to have a gelato and a run around the local park, and we had to stop on the side of the road driving in because we saw a live turtle for the first time. It was the first time they've seen a turtle in the wild. So we stopped, and so that was just a memory. I love that you use the stickers in the books for that as well. I like using, it's kind of a diary of what happens in life at the time. So I'm really enjoying working, filling in my book of days as well. Okay, so what is in the book of days? We have one of the starts. So felt like starting a very large project. This is the 7 red alphabets from Needlework Press. And I chose, I think the original was worked in Gloriana True to Silks, but I've chosen to do mine in a favourite red, which is Gentle Arts. Let's pull the bags out. Schoolhouse Red. So I had, I think I will need, obviously it's a very large sampler. I have made a start on that with this beautiful red. This was a piece of just Zygarde 40 count that I have dyed myself just to give it a little, there's a little bit of mottling and aging look to it. Actually, I dyed it with chamomile tea bags and one regular tea bag just to take the, it was white, and to give it a bit of a vintage mottling look, because this was stitched on Maritime White by Lakeside Linen, and Lakeside is difficult to get, particularly difficult to get in Australia. So working on the 7 red alphabets when I just feel like a monochromatic colour and not thinking about it. It's been fun. And there's cat hair on there. Yes, I have a cat and a dog. In that theme too, and in the same bag, is another Needlework Press, which I've loved for a long time, and I've had the linen for a while. So it's the Lucinda Frazier 1866, and it's actually an Iowa Quaker sampler. So we have, Vicky and Megan have given options for Aberystwyth 103s or the DMCs. I had a look at a lot on Instagram, and it looked lovely in both, but I had about 4 of the DMC, 3 of the 103s, classy plastic bag. So I had to order a couple in to get started on this. So there's just a little bit too many for a handful here. There we go. Yep. They're the colours, so they're very close together. It's not completely just one colour, which you might think from looking at the actual photo. And this is, if I can hold, can't quite hold the 5 of them, and the linen. So the linen is the Wild Honey called for. Yep, Wild Honey Legacy linen. And there's a very small start. We will call that a very, very small start. That was one evening of stitching, just having a, but it is beautiful to stitch with the 103s on the 37 count. It's very fine. It feels very fine and delicate. Hopefully you can see that. I'm still having issues with how to record floss tubes. I prefer the quality on my phone better. The last one I did, if you have watched it, was with a new webcam camera that I really wasn't, after reading all the reviews and purchasing at no small expense, I wasn't that happy with the quality of that video. So I've gone back to the phone. So hopefully when you're showing things up close, it will show that a little bit better. Put some of this pile away before I end up mixing up what I've got started here. What else have I worked on through April and March? I can't show some things is the problem, because we have I have a retreat coming up and I've been doing lots of work for that. I have though I did a little bit of work. Some of these are honestly a little bit of work. I don't think I've done a lot since I last recorded. This is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread. Stitching that in the called for overdyed cottons, and it was, the linen I chose was by Number 12 Stitch Co. actually. That's a piece of Nicola's Antique Lace. Now it is winter time, I might actually feel more like stitching snow, and whereas I had started that in summertime, and it didn't quite, I think I started just before Christmas when it's hot in Australia. I have also worked on, so when I showed my last very long whip parade, sorry for the editing on that as well, one of my very good friends said to me, you need to finish the Welcome Sampler by Lila's Studio, a Quaker Welcome, which I absolutely love, and it was supposed to be, well, it is going to be, to commemorate moving into this property, which now is nearly 3 years ago, and I still have not finished. So I did make a bit more of an effort, didn't I? I did a little bit more work in the black, but I haven't made a lot of progress on there. But it's beautiful. I love the colours, love working on the vintage country mocha linen. It's a really enjoyable stitch when you're in the mood to stitch black thread, which my eyesight is getting worse and worse, and I do struggle sometimes. Some days you just don't feel like it. Some days you just need to be working on fill-in stitches. So it's good to have those ones where there's might be a lot of grass to do. I also, in an attempt to try and finish some of those older whips, did take Harriet Taylor by the Scarlet House to work. And I think I've finished a few more letters on there. The idea was when I have a bit of a longer lunch hour and I don't have to run around doing some chores, which typically I do have to do, that I would try and get a couple of threads in, but I haven't made a terrible lot of progress on that. And it really is a lighting issue again, and my eyesight, I think, that I'm struggling to see in the lighting, the pool lighting in the kitchen at work. More progress on, not too many more here. Oh, this one I'll talk about at the end because that's recent. So, Pink Sparrow sampler by With Thy Needle and Thread. The border I am around. So I'm completely around the border. I am waiting on a thread. So yes, even though I have a store, I don't have this in stock, and it's not from the supplier, it's due in May. So I'm waiting on a particular colour. So it does look like I've skipped a bit all over the place. But really enjoyable, beautiful colours. Sorry, I could iron these things, couldn't I? Rather than just pulling them out of the bag as they are. And also in here, I made a start on Brenda's birthday sale. So Brenda and Laura from the Cereal Starter, they why has my mind gone blank? I watch them every fortnight. Anyway, you know who I mean. Brenda's big birthday sale. This was a Scarlet House release. I don't have the original. I don't always keep the originals. No, I have a colour copy though of the front. So that was the Martha Evans 1879. And now the chart had options for silks or options for DMC. I actually converted it to an over-dyed threads conversion of my own, and I am stitching her on Weathered by Number 12 Stitch Co, which is a little bit darker, more greyish toned, but I'm super happy with how those bright colours, and they're bright and wonderful, are stitching up. Oops, sorry, thread hanging across. Oh, there's a thread and a needle. Look at that. I think I did take this somewhere to do some stitching. So yes, if I do have the charts in store, and I'm happy to provide the conversion that I'm working on with Martha Evans. There we go. There's something else in this bag. This bag's holding a lot of goodies today. Nope. That's oh yes, there was a third. This is actually from Simone at Sewedy, Atelier Sewedy, which is in the Netherlands. I won't show too much of it. There's a chart. You can actually download this. So Simone released a stitch along for JWH Jantz 1873 sale. So if you'd like to follow that on Instagram, it's JWH Jantz, which I assume probably is Jantz. JANSE 1873 sale. So there's only 3 colours, or 4 if you choose to do the little bit of red thread. 3 classic Colourworks colours. And I've chosen to do mine on, so we haven't seen the whole sample. You're getting installments over 9 weeks, I believe. So this was week 1. I've chosen on, that's a Zweigart Winter Moon. So it's a really soft, pale cream, 36 count. And that is week 1. So week 2 has just been released. If you'd like to head on over to her, on her website, her store website, I think it links to her blog, and the charts are actually available there to download. So thank you so much, Simone. I really enjoyed doing that. Hopefully I can keep up. They're the 3 colours. I have seen, was it Country Cabin Stitcher? If you follow the sale, I've seen there's a few people doing them on different linens, which is really nice to see how 3 colours can look so amazingly different if you choose a different linen. So one I did see on, and I think it was either Legacy or Ale by Picture This Plus, and they looked fabulous on that too. And it's really nice not knowing quite what's coming with a sale. I'm not great at keeping up. I'm probably with a number of other floss tubers that you watch that talk about start-alongs, definitely a start-along. And obviously I'm really busy at the moment with the retreat looming, but I hope to stay on track with that. It's not very much stitching each week to do. So if you'd like to follow along there, head over to Simone's blog and you'll be able to get that chart. I feel like I'm saying lots of ums today. Apologies. I thought I was organised. Quick update on, which I said last time I had plans to do one of these a month, and was it Christy at Crosshatch Quilts? Has she finished hers? Anyway, trying to get some progress on this very large sampler. So this is the Blackbird Designs. Sorry for the paper. I'm not even sure which one I'm doing here. Anniversaries of the Heart. Ah, this one. So I have this beautiful big piece of vintage navy bean by Lakeside Linens that I'm stitching them all together on, and I had made this start on number 5, which is Farmhouse. And there is a bit of a start. So number 1 was finished. I did change the colours to look more like the actual chart photo, or more what I wanted it to look like. The Farmhouse I haven't changed. Mostly they're the called for colours, or close to what is the called for colours. So that's been a little bit of work since last time. And again, just a little bit on the Plum Street salt boxes, which I've also put on one piece of linen together. Oh, more threads. So I was working on those together. Honestly, I think I may have just done a little bit of the white underneath the summer one. So they will be lovely when the 8 are on there. So it'll be 4 down, 2 across, and a nice long frame. But still a bit of work to do. I have all the charts here for those as well. Okay, that's pretty much what I have been up to in stitching, as well as other crafting that I've been doing, getting ready for Autumn Stitch Camp. What would I like to share now? So just out of interest, I like to spend a Saturday morning. Sometimes I go out with friends and have a coffee or breakfast, and then it's fairly typical of smaller towns in Australia, at least. Our main street is really busy on a Saturday morning till midday, and then everything shuts. So, and working, I don't get an opportunity, well, working full time, working with the Stitches Merchant, there's not a lot of spare time. So I use that time to go on a little bit of hunting at the op shops, and we have a fabulous old bookshop here that's in a terrific brick building in the centre of town. We have a beautiful heritage street in Glen Innes. It's well known for, they've kept the buildings, mostly trying to keep them looking like they have been for more than 150 years or 100 plus years here. So anyway, the bookshop. I picked up these beautiful tiny, so this is just for display purposes and because I like them. I do like children's books. I tend to collect older children's books. So this is The Farmer of Inglewood Forest. It's quite petite. It does have a little colour photo at the front. And I just love that that's been around for, it was printed in the 1890s. So that's 120, 130 years old, and I think that's amazing. So that was one, and this one, hold it the right way, caught my eye because it's actually an early edition, an early print of The Young Visitors by Daisy Ashford with a preface by J.M. Barrie, and it's from about 1919. She wrote this when she was 9 years old. Fancy having a published work when you were 9 years old. There's a photo of her here, of the author. How cute is that? So Daisy Ashford was a published authoress at the age of 9. super cute, and not a lot of money. I just liked I actually really loved the cover on this. Was what first caught my eye. I liked the cover because that's obviously the colours I'm into at the moment. That's what happens. It's autumn. So autumn colours. So that's just some Saturday morning shopping in Glen Innes. Okay, lastly, probably I picked up 4 quilts. I've been trying to bind them, so I might show them next time. That's for those that are interested in quilting. If you're not, that's fine. This is a cross stitch floss tube. And obviously market. So market, this was my first market, which was really exciting, and making connections in a very young business with the designers and getting my head around it. Thank you so much for everybody who's ordered from me and been very patient about your orders. We have had, unfortunately, I've had some postage disasters with lost parcels and just general delays. It does take, there are still delays with shipping, and those of you who were lucky enough to get one of the Hands Across the Seas letters from Europe boxes, which I did as well, we were waiting. There was a Facebook book group, and there was a lot of chat around how long things sit in customs and waiting for clearance and that to get inbound or outbound in countries, and that is a major delay, particularly for us in Australia. So we are waiting for that postage a lot of the time, and it can be a little stressful. However, hopefully we are on the home run, and I'm just waiting on another couple of packages to, one is still unknown, and another couple to come in, and that will be the rest of the orders fulfilled. So thank you so much, everybody who has ordered from me and been so patient about your orders. I really appreciate it. I won't go into all the market releases because I think we've seen all of those, and it was March, so it was a month ago. So I thought I'd just pull my top 3, 4, maybe 5 that I really, one is on my immediate radar for probably obvious reasons. Karen and Brendan Kirk from Fox and Rabbit Designs, they typically would go, but due to some things going on here for them this year, they weren't able to go to the Nashville market, but they did release in March. And this one, I was just like, wow, I have to start this one. So I do want to start this very soon when I'm over all the other things that I do need to finish. So this is Maria Bull. The colours are beautiful. They're Weeks Dye Works overdyes with a DMC Alternatives. So Maria is 1834, and I think it's those colours, those pinks and soft putties, driftwood, fawn, straw on the Winter Wren linen. So I have pulled a piece of the Winter Wren already from, I do have this Fox and Rabbit linens in store, of course. So I snaffled a little piece of that for me, and I will be starting Maria very soon. So that was a oh my, I have to have that one. The others, I have to share the love around. I love all of them, but Stacey Nash's It's a Wonderful Life. This is one of my favourite sayings, and I have a couple of things at Christmas time in particular that I put up with this on it. So I will be stitching that drum very soon. That's the back. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'd have that up all. Who can resist a White House? I do love a White House, actually. I know somebody finished Maria Finney, which is a Shakespeare's Peddlers sampler recently, and it's got a beautiful White House in it. I think I might have to. It's also on the radar. There's lots of things on the radar. In the vein of still doing some of the Plum Street stacks, this is the newest stack from Paulette. And Paulette's got such a sense of humour. I was reading the back of this the other day, and she's actually written at the top, breaking news. I actually stitched my own model for this one, and I was as slow as a tortoise. So funny. Thank you, Paulette. That was a good giggle at the time. So I will be stitching the Tortoise Tower, and that one's done with DMC threads on a Fibre on a Whim linen hazelwood. And the next one, which Easter is just over, and I've still got my Easter decorations up, thought I might as well get in a floss tube in front of those decorations before I have to pack them all away for another year. So this is Teresa Kogut hopefully it's not reflecting too badly. This was an exclusive that Teresa released, and it's now available on my website as well, but I will endeavour to get that one finished. I actually didn't do any Easter stitching this year. Obviously I had other things that I need to be finishing, but Egg Collector, I'd like to have that one done next year. Look at it. I mean, a bunny collecting eggs off a tree. How cute is that? Thanks, Teresa. Love that one. That one. So lastly, of course, this one has been a unicorn chart of mine for a very, very long time. And I'm sure we were all so pleased when Alma announced that there was a lot of excitement that she would be releasing or reprinting the Birds of a Feather chart. So, yep, when I have some more time for stitching what I want to be stitching, I want to be stitching all the things, don't get me wrong. I love stitching what I've been stitching at the moment in endeavouring to get some models and that finished, because they've all been things that have been sitting around as whips for some time. But yeah, this one's definitely, at the moment, on the radar. Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Designs. So that's about me done. Hopefully that wasn't as long as the last one, and my editing is going to be a little bit better than the last one. So again, thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for coming back if you're revisiting and subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And when we get to 1,000, there will definitely be a giveaway. And I will be more than happy to post that anywhere in the world. So bye for next time, and I'll see you soon. Bye.